We are here with Architecten de Vylder, Vinck, Taillieu, and actually to begin with the beginning, I wanted to ask you how it all started. How did you come to architecture? What was your epiphany?
I think that at a certain moment I had to make a constatation that we were doing architect as a young man, that drawing meant something for me, and that this drawing led at a certain moment in my life to become architect. I once started first law studies, but while law studies I kept on drawing, and at the end of 1 year law studies I had to be honest with myself that there was only one way, which was in my interest. On the other hand, the drawing was not only about building, it was even about cars. So it was more an issue of being focused or interested in making things. At the end today, it led to this office. Maybe one day we make cars, no you?
I love cars, yeah, that's probably, but for me it's more started as a child. I was playing at my father's atelier, what was a carpenter's atelier, and it's more kind of fascinating by doing things, bringing things together, in that sense combined to do something with construction, and yeah, that's approximately the beginning of it.
And how did your collaboration start? How did your office come together?
We met each other at Stefan Beel's office, where we worked, all three of us. And we also had the same studies at St. Lucas in Ghent, so we met each other over there already, but we met each other especially at Stefan Beel's office, where we worked.
And who were your influences? Was Stefan Beel an influence, or did you have other sort of heroes or inspirations?
I think it's more like the feeling that we worked together over there in the office and that we felt like something in common. I think we are all of three very different, but at the same time, there was like something that was attractive, and we could really work in a nice way and in an interesting way together. And yeah, that's why we started little by little to work together, and finally we decided to start. First it was Jan who started an office, then I joined him, and then Jo joined also. But before we worked also already together on other projects, so yeah.
We stopped the coincidental and made it an official office, and this was not an issue of discussing how and when and who's going to do what. It's just a very natural case. And yes, we started at the office of Stefan Beels. It's an office we learned a lot. He is also in Belgium one of the main important figures on architecture. Let's not deny this. Let's be very thankful to that we have worked with. But on the other hand, I think at this moment in Belgium or in Flanders, we have a very large range of very interesting and very inspiring figures. And yet from the 50s on, we should not forget Julian Lampens. We should not forget one of my personal favorites, René Heijvaart. We also put a book in the library here at the library project of René Heijvaart. So yeah, there is a very good humus, like we say, in Flanders. And if you're a young architect and you let yourself confront with those kind of figures, yeah.
For me, I also worked the last 6 years for a collaboration between Stefan Beel and Xavier de Reite. That was a specific project what kept on approximately 6 years. It was for the university, and that was also for me very important to see the working together of Stefan Beel and Xavier de Reite, which was also what is also one of the main persons in Belgium as was an interesting person in architecture in Belgium.
Very interesting that you mentioned Herbert, but also Julian Lampens, whom I visited the other day. And part of our interview project here, this polyphonic project of an exhibition, is to protest against forgetting and also ask architects working now about their inspiration. Shino Hara has been mentioned a lot, Lina Bobardi has been mentioned a lot. I was somehow wondering if you can talk a little bit more about what inspired you about Julian Lampens and Herbert to kind of contribute to that protest against forgetting?
For me, I learned Julian Lampens at first, I think in '92, and it was his first exhibition of his work. It was in the Singel in Antwerp, in Belgium, and the fascination for me was that the fact is that he followed his own principles, his own way of doing architecture without any concern being unknown, being whatever. He followed his own straight lines. And that results in a specific architecture, what is really very personal, but very interesting in that sense that he's searching out a lot of things. And he's you can see in the project that he's continuing on searching out his own architecture.
And you see it also in his drawings. I was lucky that at school at a certain moment at St. Lucas that I had to archive his drawings. So I could see his drawing like from very close and we could manipulate it. And in his drawings you see also that research work and his drawings were for me at that time very important to see them and to see how they were like used to get to a project. And I think that's still something that you can see also in our architecture. That's for me something very important, but I think for all three of us very important.
If you don't mind, I would really like to come back also on the figure of René Heijvaart. I think on Julian Lampens, this is what to be said, the drawing that comes into the work and the work that's maybe initially a drawing at the end. That's the interesting thing. But the figure of René Heijvaart, I will bring you a book of him, is for me an architect, a Flemish architect. He didn't build that much. At the end, he evaluated more to be an artist, to a painter, make installations. But for me, the confrontation was that he was a person who hesitated on things, who was doubtful about what he was doing. This was for me a very strange thing in architecture, which goes a lot of times about decisions, and in this not that much work he has been making, it was like he was always launching an optimism versus an immediate doubt on what happened, and okay, his life turned over then to be artistic, but even in that way, when he was being artist, it seems like he was looking back to the period he was architect, and when he was an architect, it was like he was looking forward to a period of not being anymore an architect. And I found that for me, something which is very important when I hope we try to bring it back to our work, that sometimes this moment of doubt can be found back in what we make, together with the kind of consequence lines of thinking Julian Lampens ever kept on going in his work, even still today.